Hey guys, that's your Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. Hopefully it finds you all doing well out there. Send us some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need it out there. I need some positive vibes. I need them today because this old man is sore AF. I took the kiddo sledding, a little sledding action, and this old man thought he could go down the big hills.
Remember, don't try this at home, kids. I am a professional.
And yeah, it turns out I had a few wipeouts there. Anyway, hopefully you guys are doing well. Enjoyed our first snowfall of the year here in New England. I want to talk today about champions that are best built slow. We always talk about speed being the king, the big granddaddy stat of about everything. Everything revolves around speed in Raid. But what about champions that you don't need your best speed gear on? What about champions that don't need speed at all, right? Today I want to give you 10 champions that you can build without speed. I'm talking 0 speed on some of these champions, but as a quick disclaimer, obviously every team is going to be a little bit different. A lot of these champions you can build slow, but you don't have to build slow. So let's start out with the most obvious choice, and that is, you know who, UDK, specifically UDK in the arena, right? I mean, any champion that you just want to last a long time and frustrate your opponent with a really strong passive, right? Too awesome to die, namely. You put him in 2-turn Stone Skin, you build him with as much resistance as humanly possible, and you build him with literally no speed, no turn meter improvement masteries, nothing. And he just sits there like a big fat meat shield for your opponents to hammer away at, right? I see a lot of people build UDK nice and slow in 2-turn Stone Skin, but I don't see enough people take advantage of high resistance. Now, in the end-to-end game, you know, you're not going to get to that number that's going to be high enough to resist most debuffers, most lockouts, most Stone Skin removers out there. But in the early and mid game, that's actually a pretty easy threshold to clear. So you don't have to worry about speed. You might as well worry about accuracy. UDK, you build him super slow, Stone Skin, tanky, high resist, and he eats up all the hits from everybody else on your team. Next up is going to be good old Mortu-Macaab. Where are you, Mortu? Right in front of my face. Mortu-Macaab is an old school champion. He's the end boss of Raid Shadow Legends as well, right? The boss at the end of campaign chapter 12. And we know the peril ability, right? If you don't, it smacks, but it's a secret skill. It blocks revival, it ignores block damage and shield, as well as 100% of enemy defense. That means you don't have to pick up Helm Smasher on this dude. You don't have to put him in Savage gear, Lethal gear, Cruel gear. He's already ignoring 100% of enemy defense, at least on his secret skill. So what about, how does he activate the secret skill? Fiery Rage has a 20% chance to unlock peril for 1 turn, also has a 20% chance to fill his turn meter by 25%. So you just want to build him again in that Stone Skin, let him sit there. Every time he's hit, he'll either activate the peril or get the turn meter fill. You want to min-max his damage. A crit capped, obviously, with a lot of HP and a lot of crit damage on this dude, and then he'll end their life with the peril ability, right? So Mortu-Macaab, obviously, is going to make the list. Let's talk about, I have like a bunch of champions here, but I do have a few categories of champions that you can run with no speed. And when I say no speed in these cases, I mean focus mainly on damage. And firstly, I want to start talking about Cardinal. Cardinal, of course, still one of the most unique revivers in all of Raid Shadow Legends. With the redemption ability, she can go in there, revive all allies, and boost their turn meter to max. What does max mean? Max means they're guaranteed to go next. So all you gotta do is let Cardinal just chill in Stone Skin, let everybody on your team die, Put attack percentage boots. If they're a defense-based nuker, put defense percentage boots on them. Min-max their damage and don't stress out so much about speed. All they gotta do is die, and then Cardinal comes in, revives them, and they already have a turn instantaneously. You have 3 allies who immediately get to go, one after the other based on their turn order on your team. So in that case, all you want them to do is kill, right?
My goodness, what an idea. Why didn't I think of that?
And their speed doesn't matter. It's very situational, but anybody paired with Cardinal is next on our list. Another strategy that you can build a slow team around is using the blender strategy, right? We can talk about Fat Man. Basically, any ally attack champion will do. My favorite is going to be Farrakhan the Fat. My favorite non-epic is going to be Lady Mikage, right? So basically, you want an ally attacker who's very fast on your team. A fast Farrakhan the Fat, a fast Cardinal, a fast Lady Mikage, Lenicus the Chosen, whoever you're using, right? You go in there, you set them up with the attack buffs, increase attack, increase crit damage, and everybody moves at the speed of the ally attacker because they're all going in. Now, in these situations, you want somebody usually with a powerful AoE on their A1 ability, someone like an Eric's or somebody like that, right? So that's a great option for maybe a situation where you don't want to put speed on all of your nukers' boots. A Phenax, for example, right? You could build them super slow, but with a lot of firepower, a lot of nukage. You go in with the A1 and boom, they can never come back, right? It's a block revive ability on his put down. So that's a situation where you might be able to get away with running, you know, min-max damage and not caring so much about speed. All right, next up is going to be kind of an old school, but a very good epic champion, and that is Vogoth. Good old Vogoth. Now listen, Vogoth is a great champion. He's got a triple hitter on his A1, increase the duration of a random debuff on the target. Very nice because it happens on each hit. He's got an AoE provoke here. He's got a decrease attack on targets to receive the provoke, a great situational wave CC ability. But then his 2 passives. When attacked, he places a leech on the attacker for 2 turns. If the attacker's under provoke placed by this champion, has a 100% chance of increasing the cooldown of a random skill on the attacker by 2 turns, occurs once per attack. There's no cooldown there, it just happens. And then, of course, his claim to fame is the Festering Dynamo. It's whenever he's attacked, he heals all allies by 50% of the damage received, right? I mean, all you gotta do is sit there and survive, and you're gonna get leeches, you're gonna get maybe cooldowns, you're certainly gonna get a lot of heals, right? So yeah, Vogoth is great. Position him early on your team order as well, and yeah, you can just build him super, super tanky. I like to throw HP percentage boots on him, put him in a bolster or a shield set, and just allow him to tank there for the team. In the arena, you can run him in Stone Skin with the same kind of idea in mind. Next up is gonna be another quite unique legendary champion. He is the Unity Lord for Sacred Order. It's Falmond Mournsword. This guy is very cool. He's a bit niche because he's a Unity champion. He's not the best Unity in the game, but he's really good. He has a pretty hard-hitting A2. Damage inflicted by the skill increases by 5% for each buff and debuff on the target. Will ignore 25% defense against targets who have no buffs. But check this out. Where is okay, there's the 2 faction allies on the same team, right? The damage inflicted by the skill increased by 20% for each turn taken by an ally or enemy before this champion's next turn. Resets at the end of this champion's turn. So this ability, Burning Courage, it deals a lot of damage, right? Before attacking, removes all buffs from the target as well. Damage increases for each buff removed, but that escalation that you can get on that second ability is insane. And then he has survivability on his Till My Last Breath that also synergizes with this whole theme, right? Decrease the damage taken by this champion by 10% for each turn taken by an ally or an enemy before this champion's next turn. Resets at the end of this champion's turn. So the longer everybody else is taking turns, the more indestructible and the more powerful this dude gets. Very unique. So you want him with a lot of nukage And you don't have to build him fast. Just focus on damage on Falmond Mournsword. We have guides out there on him too. He's a very, very unique champion. Let's talk about it. Go from a legendary to a rare, right? One of my old school, just one of my favorite little rares in the game because he's still my freaking campaign farmer, right? Good old Fellhound, man. He's a very, very fast campaign farmer, one of the fastest in the entire game because of his very fast animation and his hard-hitting ability on his A1. But Ravage, you can build him as long as he's faster than Lord Shazar, who is the fastest enemy you'll encounter in 12-3 Brutal for campaign farming, or 12-3 Nightmare for that matter in campaign. Well, he's gonna go first anyway. And if he goes first, he's gonna kill everybody, provided he has enough attack where you can get on what you can get on the boots, right? Because we don't need him that fast. So build him with 105 or so speed, right? I wanna make sure now that the number is right on Lord Shazar. It is 103, right? 101. So build him with 102, 103 speed, but put attack percentage on his boots. It's weird that Fellhound has boots, isn't it? The little fella walking around with boots on.
The boots are coming off.
You can build him slow, but build him as a nuker for a campaign farmer. All right, next up, guys, is going to be a brand new champion inside the game, and this guy is Losan K'Leth. He looks freaking awesome, huh? He's very unique. You can build him in a 2-turn stone skin. He's got HP equalization. He's got turn meter equalization as well. The turn meter level of all allies will be brought up to the level with the highest turn meter. Really interesting ability. The HP level of all enemies will be brought down to the level of the enemy lowest HP. Turn meter of all enemies brought down to the enemy with the lowest turn meter. And he's got a taunt on the same ability. Granted a 5-turn cooldown. It's quite a manipulation ability if I've ever seen one in the game. But he also has another ability here. Before attacking, transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target, heals this champion as well. Will always use this skill instead of the default skill when counterattacking, which is nice. And check this out. He has remaining surplus damage as well. This skill does 100% more damage to enemies who have attacked this champion before this turn. So again, you get that big escalating damage. What's more though is on his passive, the representation. Every time this champion loses 25% HP from a single hit, he gets block damage. For slow champions like this, you want obviously survivability, right? But check this out. 3 faction allies, pretty niche, but I wanted to include him on the list because he's new. When attacked, has a 15% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on the attacker, cannot be resisted. So he just sits there off his passive in CCs. And then if you have 3 faction allies, when attacked, has a 20% chance of activating an instant turn effect on this champion as well. Man, I mean, that's pretty nasty. All you have to do is get attacked to get a turn, right? Really interesting. I wanted to include him on the list.
I appreciate the offer.
Next up, guys, is going to be a kind of a combo play, but I thought it'd be fun to include it. And that is a Venus with Cupidus on the same team. Now, Venus and Cupidus are great in their own right. They're great independently, but boy, they get a lot better when they're together. You unlock the Venus per partner ability, you remove buffs from all enemies, and then you have a chance of an extra turn as well. Very nasty with that, plus a Cupidus on the same team. Cupidus, when Venus is on the same team, he's always counterattacking and inflicting 25% more damage, right? Whenever he's attacked, right? And he has an AoE, a hard-hitting AoE on his A1 ability. Damage increased by 15%. The target has any debuffs as well. So a really sneaky and kind of OG arena build is building Cupidus in some stone skin, very slow, right? You can build him in a 1-piece stone skin, but super slow, in a 1-piece savage, and he just sits there. He can't die, he's in stone skin, and he just keeps counterattacking as long as Venus is on the same team.
Come on. That's 7 in a row.
It's amazing.
You are like, this woman's a shark.
So again, it's a little bit of a niche situation, but you can build him with attack percentage, build it to be some just super prolific nuker, and he has the protection, he just keeps counterattacking, right? So Cupidus and Venus with stone skin is the next combo. All right, guys, I have a couple more for you. you as well. Generally speaking, there's a lot of champions with really good passives you can take advantage of. This guy is a Urost the Soulcage. He's a Doom Tower hard champion, and he has a really fun kit, a lot of control here, potential on his A2 ability. He's got a strengthen and ally protection, which can lead into provokes, right? Whenever an ally is attacked while under a strengthened buff, has a 75% chance when booked of placing a provoke on the attacker. He's doing so much CC and damage off of his passive, you can just let him sit there. My man here can sit there and solo the Scarab King. You throw him in a little regen and immortal gear, because every time he's attacked, he has a 75% chance of placing a poison debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. So Urost the Soulcage can just chill, sit there, the big fella. He's tanky as all get up, right? He just sits there and chills. He looks sad. It's okay. Cheer up, Urost. Cheer up, big fella.
Just leave me alone.
And that's it, right? Game over, right? So a bit situational. There are situations where you can run a fast Urost the Soulcage or a medium speed as well. But certainly with that passive, you can get by with almost no speed on this champion. All right, guys, the last guy that I will shout out in today's video, I think I gave you a bonus, maybe 11. I don't know. I always lose count in these videos. It's actually Ailil. Ailil's very sneaky. You know, he's a champion that you don't necessarily want to build with no speed, but you can get by with very low speed because of this passive here. First of all, you're increasing his HP and defense for every attack he has. Very nice. Fills his champion's turn meter by 10% whenever they receive a buff, right? So, I mean, a Siffy, you got a 30% turn meter fill, right? Nice and easy. Any turn meter boosters that you have on the team, plus a few buffers, you can get him to his turn really quickly, even if he's built super, super slow. So you can build him with attack percentage on his boots because he has a disappointingly weak hitting A2 ability. So in order to actually ignore the stone skin and maybe get a kill, along with strengthen, increased defense, and ally protection, you really need to build him with a lot of good gear and attack percentage on those boots and forego the speed. He's meant to be built that way because of the passive. He's misunderstood, and then it can parlay beautifully with the A3 as well. He's removing positive buffs, increased defense and strengthen, and replacing them with decreased defense and weaken. He's also placing a block buffs on enemies not under them, and under those buffs, excuse me, and nothing can be resisted. Nothing can be resisted here. So obviously having him somewhat slow is going to be good because you want the enemy to go first to put all those buffs on. Thus he can go in there and unresistably take them off and replace them with the weak version, the opposite version of the debuff. Also, he has buff steal on his A1, which is really cool. On his first hit, and you can steal Stone Skin right off his A1 ability. Ailil is an interesting champion. I think that he's a bit underrated. He's not the best. He's not the Void that you want to see coming out of the Void Shard, the legendary Void. But he's still, I think, a little bit better than people give him credit for if, of course, you build him a little bit slower with a little bit more oomph, a little bit more firepower behind him. So there it is, guys. 10 or 11 champions or situations. If you want to build slow champions in the game, did I forget one of your favorite slow builds? Let me know about it in the comments below, and maybe I'll revisit this topic either on this channel or maybe a specific build on my Raid Shadow Legends Champion Guides YouTube channel. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.